Ladies and gentlemen, we are live on YouTube. Thank you all so much for pulling up. Thank you so much for coming as well. Do understand, for everyone that is going to be in the comment section, hate and discontent will not be tolerated. So if while this gentleman is speaking, you all are spewing hatred and all that nonsense in the comments, you will be excused, i.e. removed from the stream. I don't play that. This is not like all of these other argumentative discussions that you've seen from TikTok individuals. This is genuinely a debate for us to talk, speak our piece, not speak over one another, allow one another to speak and be professional and to be courteous and really and truly be adults. So the format is going to go as follows: 5-minute opening, 3 to 5 minute cross-examination, and then 5-minute closing. I'm ready when you are.
I'm starting.
Yes, sir.
Are you going to time me, or do I need to time myself on this phone?
Yeah. So right now it's 4:01. So we about a minute in. So what we'll do is I'll count from the minute you start talking. I'll log the time. So right now it is 4:01. You want to begin at 4:06? I'll say time, brother.
All right, I'm ready.
All right.
So we're debating the existence of white privilege. So I don't believe white privilege exists. To ignore the individual circumstances and other variables that play a role in people's lives just because of someone's skin color, I believe, is the definition of racism. So to say that white privilege exists, I would need to see some evidence of that. And actually, in my opinion, on the contrary, in 2021, I believe that if there's any type of privilege based on race, I believe it's black privilege. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't have any advantages in my life because of the color of my skin that I can think of or that I can find that I've ever experienced. African Americans make up 13% of the population. Yet when you ask people in social experiments how many people they think are in the country, they usually say 40%, 50%. The reason why that is, in my opinion, is because black culture is represented throughout the United States so strongly. America is very pro-black. It is not pro-white. To be pro-black is a positive thing. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're pro-white, then you're a white supremacist. That is not a privilege. Black people make up the majority of music and sports, while white people make up the majority of the U.S. But if racial disparities prove discrimination, then the NBA, which is 90% black, would be deemed racist. So you can't just say because the majority of people are white, that makes it harder on y'all. And that's a privilege. That's not a privilege. Identity politics going on in the country right now. In my opinion, Kamala Harris, if she was not a black woman, she would not be the vice president. They brag about having the most diverse cabinet, trans, women. If you're a trans person, a black person, and you're chosen because of merit and your skills, that's fine. But to be chosen because of skin color, that is a privilege. We don't have that. There's no white entertainment network. If we did that, we would be white supremacists. There's no white category on Netflix. There's no White Lives Matter organization. That would be a nationalist group. There is rhetoric that other races can say that we cannot say. We're the only race that can't say certain things. And if we do, we could lose our jobs or worse. A hate crime. I've never heard of one against a white person. So that's not a privilege. It's hard to be racist towards white people. You hear that all the time. You hear people say you can't be. The media is definitely a privilege for minorities, 100%. The media is on the minority side. There's no privilege there for us. They promote the narrative of black oppression while crowding out any other perspective. They don't show any other perspective. When a police officer kills an unarmed black man, it's on every news network. When an unarmed white man is killed by police, you never see it. I think 0.2% of all police shootings are unarmed minorities. Now that's wrong. I mean, I'm not justifying any of that, but it's not an issue like they make it out to be on the media. So there's no privilege there for us that we don't get killed by police, because that's not true. You cannot be proud of being white. According to a lot of Americans, white people don't have culture. We're the only race without culture. So there's no privilege there. I can't find anywhere that we have a privilege. If it's financially, I don't believe that's a privilege. I believe that's something that your parents earned. And I will admit that there was white privilege back in the day. And that had an effect on our grandparents and stuff like that. But for right now, it's all about choices. And I don't think that capitalism is colorblind. Green privilege and having a father in the home are the two privileges that I can see in America. That's it. Money and having a father in the home. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, a black child raised by a father and a mother in a two-parent home is more successful than a white child raised by a single mother. So a black child raised with two parents is more successful than a white child by a single mother. So having a father in the home is the biggest privilege that I have seen.
One more minute, bro.
Okay. If white privilege existed, then why is the Asian community the most prosperous race in America? If our white skin gives us this privilege, why are they the most prosperous? And another issue I have with white privilege is also the fact that I believe it cultivates victimhood. I believe that when people preach to minorities that you can't get ahead because your skin's the wrong color and you have disadvantages because your skin's the wrong color, they're cultivating victimhood, and you're made out to feel like a victim.
That's time, brother.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. We're gonna log this at 4:07. So at
can you still see me?
You actually kind of went dark. Did your light go off in the inside of your car?
Yeah. Hold on. I gotta find my keys. I should have timed myself. I didn't know I was almost out.
Oh no, it's good. I think you pretty much got almost everything out. Because of our delay. I let you get out your last point from the very beginning. So I was just like, it doesn't matter from so you can get situated. All right.
Yeah.
So when we talk about white privilege, right? PhD candidate in political science, Ritika Gold, denotes white privilege as the social or institutional advantages that benefits white people over others simply on the account of color. Two of the largest misconceptions about white privilege is that it simply doesn't exist just because you don't profit from it. Also, the identification of white privilege does not inherently make you racist. So you go in to look at things such as representation on television, flesh-colored band-aids and stockings, but books, dolls, and magazines. Being born white means you are born into a system that validates and reaffirms that you are socially included. When we start talking about white privilege in terms of the criminal justice system, we are 12 times more likely as a black person to be charged for drug offenses than our white counterparts. We're 7 times more likely to be convicted of murder. We're 3.5 times more likely to be convicted of sexual assault. So in this regard, you look at the dynamics of what truly makes up what white privilege is, as well as we look at in terms of economics. Now, I'll save my rebuttal in terms of that for my cross-examination, but when we look at our exoneration record, where we make up 13% of the population. However, we also make up 47%, according to the National Registry of Exonerations, 47% of exonerations. So while we're consistently being convicted, we're also consistently being exonerated, while simultaneously maintaining as the largest represented population in the criminal justice system. When we go back to the origins of where white privilege came from, a lot of people don't know that white privilege was actually more so popularized by a lady by the name of Peggy McIntosh in 1988. She wrote a 50-point essay on her experiences dealing with things that she inherently gets the benefit of, being white. It's ironic because scholars such as W.E.B. Du Bois during the 1930s was also talking about race privilege during this time. So it's ironic that white privilege in and of itself was popularized by a white woman. And at this point, I'm going to yield my final 2 minutes. So for your cross, you have 3 to 5 minutes to address the points that I made, and then I'll have 3 to 5 minutes to do the exact same.
All right. And you're gonna be talking back, right?
I mean,
This is a
you're free to
conversation.
you're free to use your 3 to 5 minutes, however you deem necessary.
No, I'm saying you're allowed to talk back.
If you ask me a question
In the
sure.
cross, you're allowed. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were saying your 2 main points were, or 3, is that a lot of people don't realize it exists because they haven't experienced it.
Because they don't profit from it.
Okay. So your other one was the criminal justice system. And I'll address the band-aids and stuff like that first, because I kind of made a joke about that on my TikTok. But okay. I understand what you're saying. But I think here's my question, not really a question. This is how I feel about that, because I thought about that earlier today. The population is so much more in favor of this color of skin. And I believe because of capitalism, people they're gonna create what sells. So if you have 63% white in a population of millions and millions of people, I think it just makes more sense to them to create that color of a Band-Aid, maybe. I think it all goes back to money. I don't think it's anything to do with white privilege, as far as they're not doing this to try and like look out for the white man. I think it's all about money. Whatever makes them money. The criminal justice system, you said 13% of the population, and they have 47% exonerations?
Yes, according to the National Registry of Exonerations.
Okay, so now this obviously would have to be I'm trying to remember the number. I think 50% of the murders in this country are committed by black people. But I can't remember if that's the right. Anyway, the point is if you have, I think a lot of that, like I said earlier, goes back to the past. I'm not going to argue that white privilege did not exist in the 80s, 70s, the 60s, maybe even the 90s. People still benefited from it. If you have your grandfather and my grandfather, when they were our age, it was definitely around then. I mean, 100%. And I think that trickles down. But by the time we're in 2021 now, I don't see any benefit from being white like we would have back then. I think because of the high crime rate in inner cities and stuff like that, you probably have more police presence there. So if there's more police presence in an inner city where there's more people of color and there's more crime, so there's more cops come and then more crime, you're gonna have more arrests. I don't see a reason for cops to patrol like the suburbs and stuff like that if there's no crime being committed there. I mean, there is crime. There's statistics that say white people in the suburbs have drugs on them more often than people in the inner city. I've read those statistics, but cops aren't there because there's no real crime going on where people are getting in trouble. They don't need to be there. I think that there's white people in the inner cities too. That's what I'm trying to get at. A lot of that stuff affects black people and people of color, yes, but it doesn't just affect them. And it does not just affect them because of skin tone. That's my whole issue. That's what I'm saying, is that because of the color of my skin, I don't believe I have an advantage because of that over you, because your skin is darker than mine.
Okay. You have 1 more minute.
I can't remember what. I wrote down a long opening thing, and I don't know. Yours was kind of short, so I don't really have anything else to talk about on this
Okay.
part.
So are you going to yield your last minute?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So we'll log this. I had it logged for 16, so we'll log it at 4:15, and I'll go till 4:20. So the points that you brought up were individual circumstances. You said you would have to see evidence. I provided evidence with the 12 times more likely to be convicted for drug offenses, 7 times more likely to be convicted of murder, 3.5 times more likely to be convicted of sexual assault. So that is evidence that you can find, from statistics. Statistically speaking, you can find that information. You mentioned black privilege and that you don't see advantages as it relates to you being white, right? And that America is pro-black, and if you say you're pro-white, then that, and you did mention that there's nothing wrong with that. But if you mention that you're pro-white, you're labeled as a white supremacist, essentially. To whereby historically being pro-black was about the pride of being who you are, right? The pride of our individualized experiences due to things such as slavery and, individuals not knowing their heritage and or background. So when you look at what being pro-white is, historically, there's always been negative connotations to come along with that in terms of the KKK and things of that nature. So when you say that, when you look at being pro-white as being a white supremacist, that's literally what it's tied to. You also made the point that 90% of the NBA is black. Well, we could also look at the parallel of the majority of the NHL, and I don't have the statistic on me right now, which is really my fault. If I could look it up, I would, but I think it's somewhere along the lines of 80% of the NHL is made up of white men. So really and truly, that isn't really a viable example to use, because you can literally see the parallel vice the NBA versus the NHL, where you could literally boil that down to sheer talent. I don't know. I'm be honest.
Well,
I don't really know too many black guys playing.
You misunderstood me on that part.
I'm sorry.
You misunderstood me on that part. If you want me to, I'll tell you what I meant by that. If you want me to.
Oh, no worries.
Okay.
Then you mentioned that there's no white entertainment television, right? To whereby black entertainment television in and of itself is owned by Viacom, which is owned by National Amusements, which are both owned by white men. So that platform in and of itself is owned by white men. You also said that people say that you can't be racist towards white people. When we look at what is racism and the institution that surrounds racism, people think that just because you say, oh, prejudice, you can be prejudiced toward white people, but you can't be racist, that somehow gives license to that. If you look at what racism is in and of itself, the social construct of race, which was created by white people to be the dominant race over all other marginalized groups of people, white people in and of itself cannot experience racism, but they can experience prejudice. You also said that when a police officer kills a black man, it's all over the media, but when they kill an unarmed white person, very few sources actually report on it, which isn't true in and of itself, because we have to look at tragedies versus injustices. Most of the time when white people get killed in the news, whether it be a child, whether it be an adult, immediately they receive justice, meaning the individual is being sent to jail, they're being convicted, things of that nature. So it's a tragedy, but not an injustice. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't be upset about it, absolutely. And there are sites that report on it. However, there's not the same national outrage because of the injustices of how we have historically been not taken care of in terms of the criminal justice system and bringing these individuals to justice. And we're seeing that right now, waiting on the conclusion of the George Floyd case, whereby we literally watch this man lose his life on film, and we're arguing whether or not this individual murdered him. So when we look at this, the last point that you made is that, and I have about a minute left, is that Asians out-earn white people. To whereby if you look at the fiscal quarter, in the last fiscal quarter is when Asian men started out-earning white men. To whereby white men historically have out-earned every other demographic of people, including white women. So that in and of itself is really and truly a talking point that doesn't really hold water, because it wasn't until the last fiscal cycle that ended up happening. So I'm going to yield, I guess, my last 30 seconds for you to do your to make your closing statement.
And how long is that? 3 minutes?
You can no 5 minutes. You don't have to use the whole 5 minutes. You can use as much as you like. We're gonna log you at 4:20. So 4:25 is when you'll conclude.
Okay, so I could list a lot of people's names, but I just wanted to point out Daniel Shaver. I don't know if you know who he is, but he was killed in a hotel by police, and that he never received justice for that. I think that there is a lot of people who have been shot by police who are white, and we never hear about it. And now recently, I would say since probably 2015 or so, it's been very highlighted when a black person is shot by police. And I get why. I get the reason for it. I understand the reason why, but it doesn't mean that the white people who are being shot aren't being shot. I wish I had I didn't prepare very good for this part. I didn't know you were going to bring that up, but I think there were 12 or 14 black people or unarmed blacks killed last year. I think there were 25 unarmed whites. Obviously, the population's completely spread apart, and so that doesn't do any justice to it. But the issue of black people being killed by police and it being a problem, the way that the media portrays it is not true. And I think that fact right there plays into the issue with white privilege, because that's one of the major leading factors to why people believe white privilege exists. That we don't get pulled over by police, we don't get treated the way they do, and we don't get killed. But when you only have 0.2% of all police shootings are unarmed black men, 0.2%, then it's not as big of an issue as they make it out to be. One person dying is enough. I'm just saying it's not as big as they make it out to be. I just don't think that if you have a population of 330 million people and you're having 12 people die in a year, it's not an epidemic. It's not there. It gets blown out of proportion because of a narrative that they're pushing. That the media wants to control this narrative and paint this picture of us being these we're these white nationalist bad people, Trumpers, and everybody else is oppressed. And whatever they can do to push that narrative, they do. I don't think it's an issue anymore. Like I said, it's 2021. I don't have an issue with the things I listed about the black advantages that y'all have. I don't have an issue with them. I just find it ironic when we're told we have white privilege, yet personally, I don't see any of the privileges that we have. A privilege is an advantage, and if you have white privilege, it's an advantage because of your skin color. And like I said, we don't have HBCUs. We don't have affirmative action looking out for us if something happens. I don't really have much else to say on it. I think I said way too much in my opening statement. I should have saved some of that for the back end.
You still have 2 minutes. Would you like to yield your final 2 minutes?
Let me look at my list and see if I missed something.
Okay. You have 1 more minute, brother.
I think I got everything. Yeah, that's about all I got. I made all my points, so.
Made all your points? Okay. I'm going to conclude at 4:24. There's still 1 minute left. Just a second. I think we were kind of pushing towards 4:25. So I'm still seeing 4:24. So I'll go to 4:29. Oh, there we go. All right, 4:25. So I'll conclude at 4:30. I honestly don't think I'm gonna go that long, but we'll see. In conclusion, I believe it was the duty of me as well as my opponent to prove our points and to prove our points utilizing factual information to back up our claims. I feel I did that. There were two final points that were made that I kind of wanted to touch on before I finished my conclusion. You mentioned HBCUs being a privilege that African Americans have over white people, to whereby historically HBCUs came into existence because there were no institutions of higher learning for Black people. So for that to be seen as an advantage is a little bit disingenuous because there were no systems of higher education for Blacks. If you look statistically, affirmative action disproportionately supports white women over every other demographic of men and women. So that in and of itself isn't really a privilege for those that are Black. In conclusion, I would like to say that while you may not profit from it, white privilege is definitely real. While the identification of it, it does not make you racist, as well as being prideful in who you are. However, when we look at the dynamics of what these things mean and are, there are historical connotations that come along with them that mean something. Being pro-Black means something. That's not to say that you should be ashamed to be white. That's not to say that you should be ashamed to be who you are. It just simply means that there are reasons why these things came about. So in conclusion, I would like to say thank you for showing up and even having this debate. And for those of you that are listening, I would definitely encourage you to do your research, and I'm going to yield my final 3 minutes. All righty. Well, thank you so much for having this debate, and appreciate you.
Yep.
All righty.
Are you still live?
Yeah, I'm still gonna be live.
Oh, you're staying on. All right, man.
Whew. Thank you all so much for showing up. In the words of Conscious Lee, education is elevation. So again, I want to reiterate, please do your research. Please make sure that you don't just take us word for word, because at the end of the day, anybody can push a narrative. I'm going to say publicly, both on my TikTok live, as well as on this video on YouTube, there will be no clips from me over on my TikTok. I don't get down like that. I assured this gentleman that I would not put any clips. I don't get down like that. I appreciate the fact that we were able to be professional, that we were able to respect one another and not talk over one another and actually be adults. Typically, you'll see these, I call them argumentative conversations that typically happen between TikTokers as of lately. And I'm not going to call out any names. You all have seen the debates or argumentative conversations happen and take place the way that they have. I would like to say that if you're going to enter this debate pool, understand what debate is and what debate isn't. And we can be professionals, and we can also sit and listen to one another, even when we don't agree, equitably, to whereby we come together from a place that we genuinely want to learn, that we genuinely want to pass information, and that we genuinely want to be who we truly are called to be. So at this point, I want to thank you all so much again. If you all have any questions, I'll allow a few questions. The brother has left, so I don't want anything being directed towards him. You all have any questions for me? If not, I'm going to go ahead and shut the live stream down. That was brilliant. Thank you. Anthony Carrillo, you say you have a question. What's your question? Just type your question. Someone just asked over on TikTok, would I ever do a discussion? I would do an equitable discussion with someone that I genuinely didn't feel had malice in their heart and only wanted to, have a conversation with me with ill intentions. A lot of these individuals, and actually, you know what? I'm going to speak to that, because a lot of individuals will say that I won't have conversations with people that I disagree with, and that's actually false. But what I have no time for is for an individual to try and clip things and take them back to TikTok, or clip things to try to fit a narrative. At the end of the day, people are going to watch this over again, and they're going to decide who they feel was the winner, you know, regardless of what I may think or regardless of what I may feel. So in that regard, I have nothing to prove beyond that. Again, I want to reiterate, I want to thank that guy. I'm sorry, Mr. Steel Walker. I don't want to keep saying that guy. He has a name. For showing up as well as for being professional, you know, and for listening to my points as well as, you know, just being respectful. And we don't see that very often. So I just wanted to go ahead and dispel that. I would tell you, like I tell everybody else, we have 391 here on YouTube and we have 470 on TikTok. I want to say this publicly in front of almost 700 people, that I don't duck smoke from nobody. But what I have no time for is people trying to facetiously, is facetiously even a word? Sure, it's a word now. To try to engage in conversation with me with ill intentions. And I know those that have ill intentions because most of them, we have history. So my thing is, if you genuinely want to speak with me, I have no issue whatsoever speaking with you both publicly and privately. I don't need an audience to have a conversation. I will say that publicly in front of all of you. I don't need an audience. So if you genuinely want to have a conversation with me privately, message me over on Instagram and we can definitely set up a conversation. The black intelligence for me. Appreciate that. And for those of you that took time out of your day, I know it is pretty late for you, for my family on the East Coast, Central Standard Time. As you know, Pacific, it's a little early. How many of these debates do you have lined up right now, if any? None, because again, and I'm not going to name no names because y'all probably already know who they are. People puff their chest out, challenge me to a debate, and then back out. Or they'll say originally that they want to debate me. When they realize that they don't have facts, they only have talking points, then they'll switch it to they want to have a conversation. And if I genuinely feel that this was an equitable conversation that people can learn on, because here's the deal. As much as people want to push this narrative, I have no narrative to push. I have nothing to prove to anybody. I know what my intelligence level is. I know who I am, and I have nothing to prove to anyone. So like I said, we can have it publicly or we can have it privately. Would you debate him again? I feel like it was a learning experience for him. Sure. I mean, that the end part of that, I mean, that's your personal opinion. I put my question twice. I understand you have a big platform, so my question gets lost. I didn't see your question. I'm sorry. Are you Democratic or Republican? I'm neither. I'm independent. Where to purchase my book? Amazon, South Carolina. Okay. Do you feel you held punches? To be honest, no. I feel like the points that I presented were pretty straightforward and to the point. I didn't want to belabor the point. So I feel like I just got straight to the point and left it there. Where is the 0.2% coming from? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Where do you stand more towards Democrat or Republican? Me personally, I don't think that either party really and truly cares about us in general. I believe that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are just two wings of the exact same bird that when given the opportunity will shit on all of us. So me personally, I don't have a problem with Democrats or Republicans, but the parties in and of itself, I believe the two-party system has long since been needed to be dismantled. That's just my personal opinion. The debate was very formal. I think discussion would be a better forum. And again, I truly do believe that if an individual had genuine good intentions, I have no problem bringing them on my platform. No problem whatsoever. But if, someone's going to come on just for the sake of, wanting to argue and yell at me and all that, nah. When we talk about having a discussion, let's be respectful. Let's be adults. Y'all see my TikTok videos. If you goofy, I'm going to call you a goofy. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. However, if you're going to say, hey, listen, hey, I speak, I genuinely want to have a conversation with you. All right, let's talk. Because most of these conversations don't even need to be public. Most oftentimes people do these public forums for the sake of having an audience. And I'm saying to you publicly, I don't need an audience. So if you want to message me over on Instagram, I think that's absolutely fine. We can have an equitable conversation. We can bring about some understanding, even if we don't agree. We can, say, you know what? I understand your point. However, I just don't agree with you, but I understand where you're coming from. And I think that as it relates to my platform, that's a very large misconception about me. Are you still boxing? That's on him. That's on him. The ball is in his court. That's in his court. What is my stance on Black Lives Matter? Well, see, here's the deal. Here's how I operate. If you don't type out Black Lives Matter, I'm not responding to you. Because what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to address the abbreviation of one of the largest and most impactful civil rights movements in history. So if you cannot type out Black Lives Matter, we have nothing to talk about. Did you miss it? Yes, you missed it. I'm going to post this to my YouTube. Like I said, I'm not taking no clips over to TikTok. If you want to watch the debate, if you ask in my comment section about the debate, you can pull up the YouTube and watch it on YouTube. Y'all definitely need to go 5 rounds. What's your opinion on Black Lives Matter? I support the movement, not the organization. I've met a great deal of individuals whom represent the organization in different chapters across America that are more self-serving than people-serving. I believe the movement encompasses all. It allows individuals to be inclusive. It allows us all to march together, fighting for a common cause. And that's what I'm about, fighting oppression of all forms. And also, while I have you all here, let me be very clear, and I'm going to say this again publicly, because for some reason, people seem to think that I hate white people. People seem to think that I hate Black conservatives, and I do not. What I can't stand and what I care nothing for is white supremacy, white supremacists, and Black conservatives that allow themselves to become tools for white supremacy and or mouthpieces for racist white supremacist talking points that give validation to these individuals to say and spew their hateful and divisive rhetoric. That is what I cannot stand. So for those that think that I generalize all of them, I do not. And it doesn't, at this point, it's almost essentially as if it doesn't matter how many times I say it, people are going to take me out of context. So I'm going to say it again publicly, just so that there's public record of me saying it out of my mouth in front of almost 600 people that I do not hate white people. I do not hate Black conservatives, but I've already outlined what I can't stand and what I care nothing for. Very straightforward and to the point. My guy, he literally showed he's seen white privilege with his drugs in the suburbs argument. You know, one of the great benefits of having these types of things recorded is that people can go back and look and see what was said and what wasn't said. So I'll leave that there. I'm not going to sit here and grandstand. Oh, I took the dub. You all can decide that. Which book would you recommend to read that is a good starter for the art of debate? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't read books on debate. I do read books on negotiations. So From Good to Great is a great book to read in that regard. I just had a lot of great mentors, as well as academians that really and truly just know how to have skillful conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time out of the day to educate us. I know this is not all your responsibility to educate some white people, but thank you for doing it. Yeah, no problem. Any book recommendations for high school scholars? Absolutely. And I guess we can end on that note. One of the books that you can definitely read, The New Jim Crow. It is an amazing read for you to start off with, as well as, and I had another one over here. They're on my bookshelf. I would say the autobiography of Malcolm X. That's another good one. And those are just 2 to start with. Another good one that I like that I was just talking with T. Nathan that I have to buy another copy because I lent it out. Why are all of the Black kids sitting together in the cafeteria? That's actually that's an amazing read. And then from there, you just kind of span off into what you're most passionate about. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to study law and obviously partake in the discussion and tips. Okay. Slavery by a New Name. I haven't heard of that book. I'm definitely going to go cop that. Okay. I love Why All the Black. Yeah, it's a great read. Great read. Hubby loves the autobiography of Malcolm X. Lit. Okay. Another point that you should have made in response to the model minority myth is that immigration intentionally let in wealthy and educated Asians. Easy way to debunk it. Oh, well, I mean, just considering that the last quarter, that's only just come about. So, I mean, that was another great rebuttal to that. Do you do workshops for first year college students? I've done some mentorship roundtables, but shoot me a message on Instagram if you have a group and you all have a budget. 100%. I am also a professional public speaker as well. So if you have a club or if you want to book me for your college and or university, I do Zoom calls as well. I would say in the public speaking world, I'm relatively cheap. But there's definitely a price tag attached to it, but we can also negotiate that as well. So definitely don't allow that to be a barrier. White Fragility is actually another good book too. But I don't want to give you too high level of a read before you delve into the basics first. I would say get into the basics first. How long do you think Anthony's beard can grow? 1/4 of an inch. That's what the Navy allows. 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch. Okay, seeing not much more. What I'm going to do for those of you that are over on YouTube, I'm going to stay live for a little bit longer over on TikTok. So if you would like to rejoin me over on TikTok at I Speak 1906, T Nathan said, "What beard?" Definitely feel free. You ain't gonna rattle me, T Nathan. Definitely feel free to pull up on me on TikTok. Like I said, I'm going to stay live for a little bit longer over on TikTok, and then I'm going to go ahead and shut it down and finish out the rest of my day. I'm sorry I had to go take care of something abruptly. Have you seen my question? I don't know if you had a follow-up question, Anthony, but no, I didn't see your follow-up question. Thank you for being professional and standing for what you believe. No doubt. So again, make sure you like, share, mash that subscribe button. I'm definitely going to do my due diligence to bring on some more individuals. And like I said, I want to have equitable conversations. I'm not about yelling and screaming over one another because to me, that's childish. We do our little rebuttals on TikTok. That's cool. But when we get to the YouTube format, to where we can have longer than 60-second conversations, I expect professionalism. Now, I don't expect y'all to pull up in a suit and tie, you know what I mean? But I definitely expect some professionalism. So if, in fact, an individual is going to be doing that, I have no qualms upon which to have a conversation with an individual that can't even just be a simple adult. And let me also mention, too, because people like to say, oh, you keep asking people to be professional and you calling people goofies and insulting people. Yeah, it happens. And I take accountability for that. Because I'm going to be honest with you. You would much rather me call you a goofy than 9 times out of 10 than what I really be wanting to call you people. Because folk be presenting some real goofy nonsense. You know what I mean? So I do my best to try to stick to goofy if they are goofy. Sometimes I don't even call them a goofy. So, I will take accountability for that. I do hurl that, what they consider an insult to people at times. And, it's really become a staple in my videos. So it is what it is. But I want to ensure you that if you do come on my YouTube, I will be professional. I will respect you. Man, woman, they, them, however you identify, I will respect you. And I expect the same in return. And if, in fact, you can't be respectful, then don't even seek to engage in conversation with me in this regard. That you can do all the TikTok videos you want to do, all the Instagram, all the Twitter videos you want to do. If I decide to debunk them, I will. If not, it is what it is. But if you genuinely want to come on my YouTube and you genuinely have a topic that you want to talk about, T. Nathan said I want to debate. What's up, T. Nathan? That'd be the clash of the titans. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We're gonna have to get conscious to moderate. I say crunch and munch is nasty. Look, I'm shooting below the belt now. He's probably like, oh hell no. Nah. Hold on. I think today I say crunch and munch is nasty. Let's debate on that. But actually, you know what, T. Nathan? That might actually be dope. If we can pick a decent topic, that might actually be dope and show people what professional debate looks like. You know what I'm saying? Yes.
Did you say crunch and munch is nasty?
Yeah, crunch and munch is nasty.
What lies you say?
No, that's actually a genuine statement.
No, the lies you sir. The lies you tell, sir.
You like Crunchy Munch?
Hell yeah.
See, Nathan, you done
That's
corrupted
the
my
only
wife.
way I eat popcorn. I don't want no butter popcorn. I want Crunchy Munch.
See, T. Nathan, see what you did? See what you did? I'm not arguing with my wife. Crunchy Munch is now good. I'm not arguing with my wife. Crunchy Munch is now the best thing since sliced bread. Hold on, I'm bringing T. Nathan up on TikTok. All right, hold on. Let me shut down on YouTube. YouTube, thank y'all so much for pulling up. Pull up on me over on YouTube. Over on TikTok. I got T. Nathan live with me. We're going to go live. Again, thank y'all so much for pulling up. Like, share, mash that subscribe button. Appreciate y'all for pulling up. Do your thing. As always, God is peace, God is love, and God is everything. Y'all have a good one.